Hello there, I'm Rodrigue, community developer on Crusader Kings 3. Welcome to our second monthly update in which we discuss the development of the game. This one is coming in a little bit early because we're all about to leave on holidays to enjoy a well-deserved Christmas break. Today I had the chance to sit down with our devs and we have tackled many topics. We have discussed schemes, secrets and hooks, we have also talked about the council, powerful vassals and the spouse councillor, and we have also tackled traits and portraits, and last but not least, court, guests and wanderers. Have a look. First up is Peter, content designer here at Paradox, with whom I've discussed secret, schemes and hooks. And what better place to start than with murder?
For CK3, we wanted a system where it would be slightly more predictable. You could plan around your plot to murder someone, but the outcome would still be uncertain. You start by picking out a target, and then you start building up your plot power, your scheme power, against that target. And the success of the scheme is determined by the success chance you've built up over time with the help of your agents, with the help of your spy master, and with various choices you've made in events that might have fired along the way. Things can still go wrong in the scheme, but they won't be outed until they make the attempt on someone's life. Once the target knows that a scheme is in progress against them, they will be taking every possible measure to protect their life. Seduction is now a scheme where you can target someone and get close to them in a different way than if you were holding a knife in your hand. Another scheme we have is Sway, which is now a dedicated diplomatic scheme where you can build someone's opinion of you up over time. A secret will be created when a character does something they shouldn't. That secret gets carried with the character, ready to be discovered by pretty much anyone who might go looking in the right places. When you discover a secret, you can either expose it or blackmail the owner of the secret. If you do that, you will gain what is called a hook on them. By using these hooks, you can make other characters act in ways you would really prefer yourself.
Next, I had a chit-chat with Ewan, also content designer here, and we discussed key features that are council, powerful vassals, and your spouse.
We've retained the 5 core councillor types. We've got chancellors, stewards, marshals, spy masters, and your court chaplain. And you can have any vassal or courtier in your realm as a councillor. We have your councillor skills much more directly and impactfully affecting their ability to perform tasks you set them. We've got quite a few new tasks depending on the council position. So chancellors can integrate titles, which speeds the integration of titles that you hold de facto into your de jure structure. Marshals can increase control, which is basically sending them down to a county to beat some heads until people realize that you're the lord. Stewards can increase development, which is actually trying to structure your economy so that it's an economy and not just a lot of very confused peasants. Spy masters can attempt to find secrets, which is going to be very powerful considering the new secret system. And court chaplains now have the ability to fabricate claims on counties. That's probably our most dramatic change. Fabricating claims used to be random and now it's a set action. Your 5 classic councillors are now joined by your spouse, who can boost your skills directly a little bit, either all of your skills somewhat or one of your skills a little bit dramatically. Bishops are one of my favourite features in CK3. A bishop is a special type of court chaplain. They're available for some faiths, the big one being Catholics at start, and what they do is lease all temple holdings from you. That means that you still hold the holding, but all of the levies, all of the taxes go directly to your bishop. If they like you, they'll hand over increasingly proportional amounts of gold and levies. If they don't like you, they will withhold them, potentially all of them. Since up to a third, potentially more if you're unlucky, of your entire realm can be temple holdings, that can make them ludicrously powerful, and bishops can be a massive pain in the arse, or they can be a huge boon. Your powerful vassals are the vassals with the largest levies, the most gold income. So if you have some form of elective succession, then they usually get more votes. If they're in a faction, then they'll make that faction significantly more revolt-prone. And they also have right of veto over you changing your realm's succession law. You have to make sure that you have all of your powerful vassals on side.
With Alexander and Niels, respectively game designer and senior artist on the project, we have tackled portraits and traits. Have a look.
The biggest difference is that we switched out the old 2D portraits for fully rigged and animated 3D characters in CK3. We use a DNA string for each character. Each facial feature has one or several genes that control its shape and appearance. And we added a lot of such genes in CK3 to get much finer control. And this gives us a great variation in the number of possible faces that we can get. And this also ties into inheritance in the game. So your children will actually inherit their parents' appearance. We can get a really nice blend of different ethnicities and different characters. One thing we wanted to change is how much of the character we show in the UI. And in CK2, obviously, you see only the head and the neck. But we figured that in medieval times, the way you dress was really important. In the game, we illustrate this by giving the high-ranking characters access to finer materials and fabrics. And thus you can easily tell which class a character belongs to just by looking at their clothing. We can do seamless aging, so all the way from a small child, you can see your character grow gradually into adulthood. And then, if they make it that far, into an old and toothless 100-year-old. When it comes to diseases, you will also be able to tell on your character's face if they are suffering from an illness, so they will turn pale and hollow-eyed.
In CK3, like in CK2, characters have traits and skills. Unlike CK2, the personality traits are way more impactful. It is very easy to recognize the personalities of the various characters. If you find a greedy character, they're gonna be truly greedy. Piety and prestige in CK3 works very differently from CK2, and it didn't really make sense for, let's say you were a nomadic horde or a tribal ruler, that people would start liking you less just because you declared an invasion. You gain prestige, but you also use that prestige to increase your level of fame. And the level of fame sticks with you, while you can use prestige as a currency to, for example, declare war. And the level of fame, of course, it can also decrease, but that one decreases when you do dishonorable acts, such as breaking truces. Piety, like prestige, is also a currency, and when you gain piety, you will increase your level of devotion. So the level of devotion increases the clergy's perception of you. Genetic traits are traits that are assigned at birth. They can be ranked up by having parents with those traits have kids together, and their kids might have, for example, an even stronger immune system than their parents had, and this can go on and on and on. One of the riskiest but fastest ways of leveling up these traits are by, keeping it close to the family when you're arranging marriages.
Last but not least, I sat down with Sean, content designer here at Paradox, and we discussed courts bustling with activities, guests and wanderers.
The main difference is that your court is actually going to be smaller than it was in CK2, but the characters that are in your court are going to be more interesting and more relevant to you. In addition to your courtiers that you have in your court that pretty much hang around all the time, you will receive wandering guests from other parts of the map that are basically traveling from court to court, and they will stop in your court for a couple of years. While they're in your court, they are not your courtiers per se. You can't order them around and have them do things for you, but if you see a guest who you think is particularly useful, you can give them a reason to stay and basically recruit them to your court, at which point they cease to be a guest and actually become one of your permanent courtiers or vassals if you have decided to land them. You have a couple of decisions available to you. Generally, by spending a little bit of gold or prestige, you can encourage certain types of guests to come. Basically, all of the characters in the game want to have some sort of purpose. And if they don't have a purpose where they are, they're going to leave and go somewhere else. And you know, ultimately, Crusader Kings is going to be a game about you and your character and your dynasty. But this new guest and wanderer system will ensure that your courtiers, who sort of act as a supporting cast, will be more interesting and have more fleshed out backstories and have more purpose in the game.
Thanks for watching. Naturally, we've only started to scratch the surface of the Dev Diaries published throughout the month of December, so should you want to know more, just click on the links below. And that's it for me. I will catch you in 2020, and from the whole Crusader Kings team to you, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Catch you next month. Just f***ing hell. Putain de merde, mais va te faire the boss is distracting. Today we discussed secrets, hooks, and oh, what do I say? God damn it. No, not the f***ing Jesus Christ ass. I have so many to give.
I'm rolling.
Okay, good. There's still ways for me to f up.